I want you to think for a second about what comes to mind when you hear the phrase meeting your other half.
Right.
Because if you're like most people, you are probably picturing a classic romantic comedy. You know the exact scene.
Oh, I definitely know the scene.
Right. Two people casually reach for the same worn-out paperback in a cozy, dimly lit indie bookstore. Their hands brush, their eyes meet, and boom, cue the swelling acoustic guitar music.
Yeah, or maybe your mind jumps to the whole, the soulmate concept.
Exactly.
That deeply ingrained cultural idea that there is one single perfect person out there walking around in the physical world.
And your ultimate life's mission is to just hunt them down, settle into a comfortable life, and be happy forever.
Right, the ultimate goal.
Well, I need you to take that entire concept, that whole mental image of the bookstore and the soulmate, and just throw it completely out the window.
Just toss it entirely. Because the framework we were exploring today on this deep dive doesn't just, tweak that traditional search for romance. It fundamentally relocates it.
It really does. Oh, by the way, I'll be your host for this journey, and I am thrilled to be joined, as always, by our resident expert to help me untangle all this.
Glad to be here. And untangle is the right word. We are taking a concept usually viewed through the very narrow, very human lens of interpersonal relationships, and we're expanding it into a space that dictates the physical structure of reality itself.
Yeah, because today's deep dive is plunging us into a wild, mind-bending intersection of quantum physics, ancient cosmology, and just incredibly deep spiritual mysticism.
It's quite the mix.
It really is. The source material guiding us today is a fascinating, highly complex text written in 2015 by an author named Zufeng, and it's simply titled How to Meet Your Other Half.
A simple title for a very not simple text.
Exactly. Our mission today is to navigate this unique worldview and figure out what it actually means for you. Because according to this text, your other half is absolutely not a romantic partner you're going to bump into at a local coffee shop.
No, definitely not.
Your other half is literally an anti-self, a counterpart residing in an entirely different dimension.
Which is just a huge conceptual leap. The author is basically attempting to synthesize the literal physical mechanics of the universe with the ultimate final destiny of the human soul.
Right.
And this isn't presented as like a loose collection of philosophical musings. It reads like a cosmic technical manual.
It really does read like a manual.
Yeah, it lays out a structural framework for how reality operates and then places human spiritual longing right in the center of all that machinery.
A cosmic technical manual. Okay, let's unpack this. Because before we can understand why this manual says it is so incredibly difficult to find this other half, we really have to establish what exactly we are even looking for.
Well, the text establishes this by immediately borrowing a concept from hard science, which is quantum entanglement.
Right, diving straight into quantum physics.
Exactly. Shafeng describes the other half through this physical phenomenon, specifically referencing what Albert Einstein famously referred to as the ghost-like superdistant effect.
Ah, yes. You might also know it as spooky action at a distance.
That's the one.
For anyone who hasn't been brushing up on their advanced quantum mechanics lately, that is the verifiable phenomenon where two particles become intrinsically linked.
Right.
No matter how far apart they are placed in the physical universe. I mean, even light years away from each other, if something alters the spin or the state of one particle, the other particle reacts instantaneously to match or balance it.
It's wild. They are deeply, undeniably entangled, completely defying the standard rules of space and time.
Completely defying them.
Now look at how the text applies that microscopic subatomic behavior to the macro level of human consciousness.
This is the crazy part.
It really is. The author argues that for every human being, there is a corresponding entangled consciousness. This is your anti-self.
Your anti-self.
Yes. It is another version of you that resonates with you, entangles with you, and actually shares your exact fundamental nature and feelings. But, and this is key, it remains entirely separate from you across dimensions. Together, you and this distant anti-self form what the text calls a unified opposition.
A unified opposition. Trying to visualize that is tricky, but think of it like a pair of entangled quantum magnets.
Oh, I like that.
Right? In the traditional rom-com soulmate search, we are essentially wandering around our daily lives looking for another North Pole that perfectly matches our own North Pole.
Yeah, we want someone just like us.
Exactly, sharing our interests, existing in our physical world. But this text insists you are completely misguided. You aren't looking for a matched set. You are deeply intrinsically entangled with the South Pole.
Your complete and total inverse.
Exactly. They are your absolute opposite, yet they are structurally foundational to your very existence.
And, using a hard science concept like quantum entanglement for this serves a very specific purpose. It gives physical weight to a deeply spiritual ache.
Right.
It is taking the concept of ultimate spiritual realization and anchoring it to the physical laws of the universe.
Which makes it feel so much more tangible.
It does. The implication is staggering, really.
Mm.
Our human feeling of spiritual longing, that deep sense of being incomplete, isn't just a psychological quirk or like a byproduct of loneliness.
Right.
It is a fundamental law of physics playing out across multiple dimensions.
Which means we have to look at the actual mechanics of the universe. I mean, if we accept that this anti-self, the South Pole to our North Pole, is out there, we have to ask what happens if these two opposite halves actually collide.
That's the big question.
Yeah. The text links this concept of a unified opposition to an underlying universal rule called symmetric balance.
Yes, and this is where the cosmology of the source material expands significantly. It introduces symmetric balance as one of the arrays within the 36 8-diagram arrays.
Which sounds very complex.
It is, but it's pulling directly from ancient Eastern philosophy, specifically the I Ching, or the Book of Changes. The text poses a foundational question about reality, which is, why do things invariably develop in the opposite direction when they reach their extremes?
The answer provided is that without opposition, without that counterweight, the symmetric balance of the universe is utterly destroyed.
Exactly.
Think of a pendulum swinging. If it only ever swung in one direction, gathering speed without an opposing force of gravity to eventually pull it back, it would literally rip itself off its hinges. Unchecked momentum destroys the system.
That's a great analogy. A particle must have an antiparticle to maintain the neutral balance of the physical universe. And therefore, a human must have an anti-self to sustain the symmetric balance of multidimensional life.
The author actually gives us this really vivid metaphor of a literal balance scale.
The cosmic scale.
Yeah. Picture a massive cosmic scale. You are standing on one side, carrying all the weight of your specific existence, and your anti-self, your exact inverse, is standing on the other side.
Perfectly balanced.
Exactly. You are perfectly balancing each other out across the expanse of the universe.
Yeah.
If one of you is suddenly removed, the entire scale tips violently and the system is disrupted.
Which is bad news for the universe.
Really bad. The ultimate goal, the author writes, is to reach the kingdom of freedom, which is also known in this text as the Elysium world.
Right.
But to achieve that transition without breaking the cosmic scale, both you and your other half have to step off at the exact same split second.
And that simultaneous exit is the only mathematical way to maintain the fairness and symmetry of the cosmic scales.
It makes sense.
It does. But the text raises the stakes considerably here. It states plainly that when a particle and an antiparticle finally meet and step off this scale together, it triggers an annihilation event.
Wait, annihilation.
Yes, annihilation.
The ultimate goal of this entire spiritual journey is to blow ourselves up. I mean, when I hear particle and antiparticle annihilation, I am picturing a massive blinding burst of gamma rays.
Yeah.
Violent physical destruction.
Right.
That doesn't sound like a peaceful transition into the Elysium world. It sounds like an apocalyptic sci-fi movie.
It definitely sounds entirely catastrophic if you are looking at it purely through the lens of physical, biological mortality. We associate the word annihilation with a violent ending.
Yeah, usually.
But in the context of this specific spiritual framework, annihilation is just the destruction of an illusion. It is the removal of the boundary that separates you from everything else.
So we aren't talking about a fiery explosion that wipes us off the map.
No. Imagine dropping a single bead of water into the vast ocean. Is that single drop of water annihilated?
Well, yeah. I guess its boundaries are completely destroyed.
Exactly. It no longer exists as a separated, individualized drop, but in that destruction, it becomes the entire ocean.
Oh, wow.
The explosion the text refers to is a massive release of profound spiritual energy. It is the merging of every piece of your psychological puzzle finding its exact negative space. The divided self is destroyed so that the complete unified self can be born and propelled out of the cycle of suffering.
Okay, that reframes the entire concept from a violent death to like an ultimate completion. But it introduces a massive logical problem for me.
Oh, what's that?
If meeting this anti-self leads to this beautiful ultimate realization and an eternity in the Elysium world, why are we all sitting around here going to work, paying taxes, and dealing with traffic?
Good question.
Right. The universe must have a vested interest in keeping us separated, otherwise everything would have just merged and blinked out of existence eons ago.
The universe has a massive vested interest in keeping you apart.
I knew it.
Yeah, the text explains that the cosmic program, like the underlying operating system of reality, resolutely and actively prevents particles and antiparticles from meeting.
Because if they met easily,
The entire world would be an endless series of localized annihilation events. The physical universe would instantly neutralize itself into nothingness.
so to prevent reality from collapsing, the universe has instituted the ultimate quarantine.
Precisely.
The text describes this barrier as a celestial net, and this isn't just a simple wall. This net is constructed of 20 parallel world and 36-dimensional spaces.
It's a very robust net.
It really is. It is designed to separate all spirits into what it calls the yin-yang world.
And the author also layers in a Buddhist perspective to explain the mechanics of this separation. It states that all of life's positive and negative aspects are deliberately compartmentalized.
Right, into different realms.
Yes. Specifically, the desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm.
Okay, so the desire realm is where we currently reside, weighed down by sensory input, physical needs, and constant cravings.
Yeah, that's us.
Above that is the form realm, where beings have evolved past raw physical desires, but still possess a subtle physical shape.
Exactly.
And then the formless realm, which is pure consciousness, completely devoid of physical attributes. We are partitioned off.
Highly partitioned.
And by keeping us separated across these specific realms, the universe maintains what the text calls the eternal reincarnation through the mutual generation and overcoming of the 5 elements.
Right, the 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water. They essentially act as the engine of this celestial net.
They power the whole thing.
Yes. They function as a closed-loop system of constant friction.
And if you look at how those elements interact, it makes total sense as a cosmic trap. Wood burns to fuel fire.
Fire leaves ash that turns to earth.
Earth compresses over millennia to yield metal.
Metal condenses water from the air.
And water feeds the wood to start it all over again. That's the mutual generation part. But then you have the overcoming, the destruction, right?
Yes, the other half of the cycle.
Water extinguishes fire. Fire melts metal. Metal chops wood. Wood parts the earth. Earth absorbs the water. It is a perpetual motion machine of generation and destruction.
It functions as an inescapable multidimensional gridlock. The energy of the universe is constantly recycled through this exact mechanism, keeping everything in motion.
Keeping everything distracted.
Exactly, and crucially, keeping you completely isolated from your anti-self.
So we are essentially trapped inside a 36-dimensional washing machine.
That's one way to put it.
But there's this beautiful, almost heartbreaking paradox hidden right in the center of this cosmic trap.
There really is.
The text argues that this massive isolating separation, this agonizing celestial net keeping you from the other half of your soul, is the exact thing that allows our world to exist.
Right.
The author explicitly notes that it is only through this strict separation that the world remains a dreamlike, fantastical, and wondrous place.
It's wild to think about. Our individual suffering and our profound sense of isolation are the literal price of admission for the physical universe to exist at all.
Wow.
Without our separation, there is no beauty, no art, no experience, no reality, just the void of completion.
Here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because the text doesn't just leave us tumbling forever in this multidimensional washing machine.
Thankfully.
Right.
Right.
We have established that there is an impossibly complex cosmic program running the show, with 36 dimensions and layers of realms designed specifically to keep you from your other half. A human doing cannot physically traverse that.
No, it's impossible.
So the author introduces a completely different approach. You have to become a cosmic hacker.
Yeah, and the terminology here is surprisingly modern for a spiritual text.
It really is.
The author states bluntly that actively seeking your other half is almost a delusion. The security system is simply too robust. You cannot brute force your way through the mutual generation and overcoming of the 5 elements.
You cannot just search harder. You can't meditate your way through 36 dimensions, and you certainly can't download an app to locate an anti-self in a parallel world.
Obviously not.
But the text pivots on a crucial piece of logic. Because reality is functioning structurally like a program, it is bound by rules. It doesn't possess malice or anger. It just executes code.
Right, it's just a system.
And any program, no matter how complex, inherently possesses a vulnerability. It can be cracked.
Always a back door.
Exactly. The author argues that this cosmic program contains a hidden subprogram. If you can figure out the correct input to activate this subprogram, you can bypass the celestial net entirely, summon your other half, and initiate that final annihilation event.
And the language surrounding this goal remains intensely clinical. The text dictates that the ultimate purpose of meeting your other half is to eliminate the counterpart.
Eliminate the counterpart.
Yes. Without eliminating them, you are forever constrained by their counterbalance on the scale. You remain trapped in the cycle of the three realms.
See, eliminating the counterpart sounds like a sci-fi assassination directive to me.
It does sound aggressive.
Right. I really struggled with the aggression in that phrasing when applied to ancient spiritual enlightenment. It sounds like you were supposed to hunt down this anti-self and destroy them.
Well, the author clarifies that eliminating the counterpart requires mutual self-destruction. Both opposing sides must cease to exist.
Okay, that makes more sense.
This circles back to our earlier discussion about the drop of water in the ocean. This mutual destruction is not an act of violence against an external entity. It is the ultimate, final dissolution of the ego.
You aren't murdering a cosmic twin. You are destroying the foundational duality that keeps you both chained to the balance scale.
Precisely.
You are permanently ending the illusion of you and them.
And the result of that mutual destruction is a profound rebirth. You emerge as a higher, self-harmonious, and complete life form that is finally equipped to exist in the Elysium world. It is, like you said, the ultimate system upgrade.
We know we need to activate this subprogram to achieve this system upgrade. The stakes are clear, the mechanics are laid out. So what is the actual keystroke? What is the cheat code to bypass the 36-dimensional security net?
Well, the text highlights a grand cosmic irony regarding this cheat code.
A cosmic irony.
Yes, we established that actively trying to find your other half is futile. The text takes that a step further. It says the harder you try to meet them, the further away they are pushed.
Oh, man.
Your desire to find them acts as the very repulsive force keeping them at bay.
So what does this all mean? Think about how a Chinese finger trap operates.
Oh, perfect analogy.
It's just a simple woven bamboo tube. You stick your index fingers into both ends, and your immediate instinct is to pull them out.
Right. You want to get free.
But the trap is mechanically designed so that the harder you pull and the more desperately you exert force to free yourself, the tighter the bamboo weaves constrict around your fingers.
It locks you in.
Exactly. The universe's celestial net functions on the exact same mechanical principle. Your desire, your act of searching, your pulling, that is what causes the 76 dimensions to contract around you, keeping you isolated.
Wow.
The only possible way to win the game, the only physical way to release the mechanical tension of the trap, is to completely relax. You have to stop pulling. You must let go entirely.
And the text provides a very specific formal name for that state of complete relaxation and cessation of pulling.
What's it called?
The cheat code to crack the program is achieving what it calls the eightfold liberation state.
The eightfold liberation state.
Yes. While the excerpt we are examining today doesn't outline the specific, granular, step-by-step methodology of achieving the eightfold liberation state, it makes the structural mechanism of it incredibly clear. It is a state of profound, absolute non-attachment. This actually aligns with a universal philosophical truth found in countless wisdom traditions across human history.
Which is?
The ultimate final state of desire is the complete relinquishment of desire itself.
By achieving this eightfold liberation state, you finally stop pulling on the cosmic finger trap. And the text reveals exactly what happens when you do.
It's beautiful, really.
It is. When a person reaches this specific, rarefied state of non-attachment, you don't magically gain the ability to go find your other half. Instead, your other half will actively cross the dimensions to come to you.
Because they are drawn inexorably into that vacuum of desire.
Right.
Because you have finally stopped resisting the architecture of the program, the hidden subprogram activates. The anti-self approaches, the two halves meet without friction, and the mutual annihilation occurs naturally.
The ultimate reward for pulling off this cosmic hack is total freedom. The text outlines that you transcend the three realms. You completely escape the crushing perpetual motion machine of the five elements.
You stop the cycle.
You stop the cycle of reincarnation dead in its tracks, and you arrive directly at what it calls the Celestial Islands continent of the Elysium world. You and your anti-self finally step off the scale, together.
It demands that we look at our entire existence not as a desperate, exhausting search for something external to make us whole, but as a grueling internal journey of letting go.
It's a complete paradigm shift.
It really is. By hacking our own deep-seated attachment to the physical world, we naturally align ourselves with the deepest, most hidden symmetry of the universe.
We have covered some massive conceptual ground today on this deep dive.
We really have.
We started by taking the standard romantic comedy idea of a soulmate and throwing it entirely away. Instead, this 2015 text by Shuafeng dragged us through the mechanics of quantum entanglement, the existence of a multidimensional anti-self, the 36-dimensional celestial net running on the engine of the five elements, and finally, the ultimate cosmic hack of just, well, letting go of everything so your opposite can finally find you.
Quite the journey.
Yeah. We're going to have to guide ourselves back down from the Celestial Islands continent and re-enter our normal physical reality for a minute.
I mean, returning to a mundane afternoon after contemplating the structural annihilation of the ego across 36 dimensions is definitely a jarring transition.
It definitely is. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with one final lingering thought to mull over as you go about your day.
Wait.
Something that builds on the mechanics of the symmetric balance we just explored. If this text is entirely correct, and your anti-self shares your exact fundamental nature and feelings, but they exist as your complete and total opposite across the cosmic balance scale, well, what does your current state of mind say about what they're experiencing right now in another dimension?
Oh, that is a fascinating implication of the balance scale metaphor. The equilibrium must always be maintained.
Exactly. If you are having an absolutely terrible day, if you are feeling completely lost, chaotic, and overwhelmed by the heavy sensory input of the desire realm right now, could it mean that at this exact moment, your anti-self is sitting in another dimension, experiencing profound, unbreakable clarity and peace?
That's a powerful thought.
Right. Your chaos might literally be the counterweight that is buying them a moment of perfect, pristine stillness.
It implies a really beautiful interdependence, when you inevitably feel a sudden, entirely unearned moment of absolute peace in your own life. Perhaps you should silently thank your other half for taking on the chaos and the burden for a little while.
It makes the chaos feel a little less random,
Yeah.
and it makes you feel a little less alone in it. Keep questioning the structures around you, keep looking at the world from new angles, and we will catch you on the next deep dive.